Okay, so here we are on the inside. It's really easy to get open. There's a single screw, like a thumb screw on the back. Well, it's not exactly a thumb screw. It's a screw that you could technically take off if Dell hadn't attached it so hard. But anyways, it's pretty easy to take off once you use a screwdriver, essentially. And if this looks a little bit different, I'm using my camera's built-in flashlight. You can see there as it's casting a shadow, because of course it's kind of dark inside the case here. And in case you're curious, since I get asked this a lot, the camera is a Canon HF100. It's a couple years old, but it's a high-def camera, does a really nice job. So what do we have inside the case here? We have the CPU fan, and of course there's a sizable cooler under here, although it's not gigantic. AMD usually does a pretty good job of keeping their thermals for their CPUs under control, so they don't get too hot. But of course it is 6 cores, so it's going to kick out a fair amount of heat. Here we have the video card, and I'll just sort of tip it up a little bit. You can see here this is the fan, kind of a fan combo heatsink. So we'll see how loud that is. Hopefully it's not too loud, and I'll be able to leave it in there. And then there's also the RAM over here. So as I mentioned, there's 4 RAM slots, so it's going to be 2 gig, 2 gig, and then 1 gig and 1 gig in order to make it up to 6. Now I mentioned running in tri-channel mode. I don't think that's actually accurate. Although it is DDR3, I don't think AMD has a requirement of using tri-channel, and if it was tri-channel, there would probably be 6 slots so that you could run in sets of 3 essentially. So it's probably running in dual channel mode, just in case any of you are kind of nitpicky about those sorts of things. Over here we have the hard drive, the 750 gigabyte model, and up here we have the Blu-ray player, and then that's basically it. Dell did a pretty good job of keeping the wiring, nice and smooth. I'll be interested to see, like I said, how loud the fan is here, and also the CPU cooler and the system fan. I mean, if I like the overall system, but it turns out that one of these fans is kind of loud, I might be able to just yank a fan out and actually replace it with something a little bit quieter. So we'll do one last test here. I'll pause the camera, I'll hook it up to power, and a keyboard and a mouse and a monitor, and then I will turn it on, and we will get to see how loud this particular machine is. So hang on a second. Okay, so we're back. Now, one of the things I actually forgot to mention earlier was I mentioned that this was the AMD, the 1055T CPU. I forgot to mention the speed. Of course, it is 2.8 gigahertz per core, so 2.8 gigahertz per core times 6 cores. It also has the ability to go into a turbo mode, which boosts it up to 3.3 gigahertz per core. It depends on the application. It depends on what the CPU is actually doing, but essentially you're looking at 3.3 gigahertz maximum. Now, one of the other things I'm going to do is I actually have a little digital sound meter here. When I'm not talking and the room's essentially quiet, it's about 30 decibels or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the system. I'm going to place this back down so it's static. I'm going to turn on the system, and then I'll get to see how much noise it makes. Like most computers, I'm sure it's going to make a lot of noise initially when it boots up, and the fans will settle down. So I'm going to stop talking for just a second in a minute here, and we'll let the decibel meter reset back to normal, and then I'll hit the power button. So it's a pretty quiet system. The sound meter only went up to like 31 or 32 decibels, so it's virtually at room noise. When I listen to it kind of normally, I can definitely hear a little bit of fan noise, but it's actually not too bad. And the fact that the fan didn't spin up to some incredibly loud volume makes me think that maybe they're using some slightly better fans in here than they normally do. Dell tends to kind of cheap out on some of their components, typically fans. They tend to be a bit louder than they should. But yeah, that's about it overall. So I'll just let you look at one of my monitors here, and as you can see, Windows is preparing the system for its first use. So the system is, of course, booting up. I might actually pause the camera here for a second, and maybe I'll come back in a minute, and we can check out the desktop briefly. So yeah, hold on a second. So here's the system after it has been booted up. The initial configuration is complete, and I ran the Windows Experience Index test to see how the system tested. So the overall score is a 5, but that's basically being dragged down a little bit just by the graphics card, because it's not a, I mean, it's a 5450. It's not a particularly impressive graphics card. I'll just zoom in here so we can kind of check out the numbers. You can see for yourself. So the processor ranked at a 7.4, which is very, very fast. The RAM ranked at also 7.4, which also ranks quite highly. The graphics, the desktop performance for Windows Aero ranked at a 5. That's decent for a desktop graphics card, but it's not great. You know, clearly a higher performance card would rank higher. It ranked pretty good at gaming graphics, though. It was pushed up to a 6.2, which is actually pretty decent. And of course, the primary hard disk was a 5.9. I've never seen anything go above a 5.9. That's a standard 7200 RPM disk. So that's pretty much a 5.9 is pretty standard. So yeah, that is the overall system performance rating. And I also wanted to point out something here too. Up at the top, Dell has done their little custom dock. This is called the Dell Dock, and I've seen this on a couple of other systems. I'll just end up disabling it. I don't particularly like it. It's not bad, you know, for beginner computer users if they want to have an easier way to organize their system, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense to give up, you know, some screen real estate on the top, and then of course you still have all the other shortcuts down at the bottom. And this system came preloaded with pretty much not a ton of junk, but I mean a fair amount of stuff. It of course has McAfee preloaded and you know, some Roxio products, so not really a lot in the way of you know, what I would call crapware, but certainly some stuff that I would definitely want to uninstall. Like I probably wouldn't use the Roxio software, definitely wouldn't want McAfee on here, I wouldn't want Microsoft Works on here, you know, blah blah blah. So anyway, there you go. So that has been my unboxing and first impressions video of the Dell Studio XPS 7100. Now, how much is it, you might be wondering? Go check Dell yourself. And the reason why I say that is that Dell has radically different pricing for the same stuff in different markets all around the world. They constantly have promotions and coupons and all sorts of stuff. So it makes absolutely no point for me to tell you how much I paid for this particular unit. I will say it's well under $1,000. Canadian, but you want to go and check out Dell in your own home country and see what their price is on the Dell XPS 7100. This has been Jason Dunn from Digital Home Thoughts. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and watch for my follow-up full review. Thanks for watching.